guys, I mean, do you really think people are still listening to this stuff? I mean, what are we doing? This is starting to just feel frustrating, just sitting here recording all of this stuff, hours at a time.
I can sense your frustration. And there's the first step in dealing with frustration, is to acknowledge it. Frustration's an emotion. It's nothing to avoid. It's a part of life. And how can we do a positive spin on frustration? So whether it's in the classroom or in a personal relationship, and you hear someone who sounds just like what you just heard, the first step is just to say, hey, I hear you're frustrated. And that's okay. Now, as the leader and the facilitator of the classroom, as the teacher, I want to follow that up by saying, I'm gonna help you alleviate your frustration, because probably the frustration is, I'm teaching you something, I'm not getting it. As we've spoken prior podcasts, I'm going to instill hope and confidence in you that you can bridge over that and above the frustration that you're feeling right now.
I think one of the other ways we need to look at frustration is we need to learn to embrace it. I mean, frustration is a great thing in the classroom. I couldn't imagine being in a classroom without frustration, because to me that would just scream boring. It would not be challenging. You wouldn't be forced to grow or stretch. It would just kind of be easy and just doing the same thing over and over. And frustration, kind of like we talked about in another podcast with failure, it's just we need to look at the coin in a different light and think, how can we embrace frustration and use this as a strategy to promote a little bit of growth? We're frustrated, we're at a spot we don't get something, so where are we going from this? What do we do from here?
Yeah, but when you're feeling frustrated, you just don't want to do it anymore. Like, I don't know if anybody cares about any of this stuff we're saying, and I don't want to record this podcast anymore. Like, I don't want to do this anymore, and you're telling me that that's a good thing?
So that's really, as the teacher, you need to be aware and have a sense of when frustration is spilling over into despair. So that's one polar opposite, that I'm in a despair. The other polar is that I'm bored. So we're proposing that if I'm not challenged enough, I'm bored. If I'm challenged to a sense of despair, I'm going to give up. So I've got to be able to recognize that either through body language, or I've got to be able to recognize that through assessments that my class has reached a sense of frustration that if I don't repair this, then I'm going to lose them. We mentioned scaffolding prior in another podcast. That's the high-level skill as a teacher in scaffolding, and know where's that sweet spot that I'm giving enough challenge so they're not bored, but not too much challenge that the frustration moves into despair.
Well, how do you respond to teachers who become frustrated? The teacher who looks out at his or her class, sees half the room experiencing despair, the other half experiencing boredom, and not really knowing how you're supposed to deal with both of these halves at the exact same time. I mean, that can be frustrating as the adult in the room.